Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Bob Smith from Smith Taekwondo and Pro Sport Kickboxing, the largest martial arts center in the state of Hawaii. And I'm coming to you today to talk about martial arts for children. But before I do, I posted a video a couple of weeks ago about a man in Kahalu that set his girlfriend on fire. This asshat, coward, punk, Bobby Young Townsend, a career criminal from the windward side of Oahu, somehow figured that in his infinite wisdom, it would be a good idea to douse his girlfriend in gasoline and ignite her. All I can say, buddy, is you're lucky that it wasn't my daughter, because there would have been no place you could have hidden that I couldn't have gotten to you, including in prison. Anyway, this guy is an asshat, and I wish that this girl's uncle, the victim, I wish her uncles would have caught him first and actually given this guy some real justice, because I know she had some ohana that was looking for this guy and would have made him actually pay for it. But he is in police custody, he's off the street, so there's nothing to worry about there. But the guy is a typical coward, punk, career criminal. He's been in and out of jail his entire life. Face covered in tattoos, body covered in tattoos, has his eyebrows waxed and done. Very, very masculine, if you ask me. And wears his hair in a faux hawk. So the facial tattoos, the faux hawk, and the waxed eyebrows, that alone pretty much tells you the caliber of this guy, that he's going to rise to the top of the food chain really quickly. Anyway, he has been caught, he's off the streets, and he is awaiting trial. And meanwhile, the victim, she's recovering. She does have her body severely burned, so prayers go out to this girl. Each and every one of you, please say a prayer for her that she heals, and that she never again picks a guy like this to date, ever. That being said, I was watching the news yesterday, and a little girl in Blacksburg, Virginia, next to Virginia Tech, I believe her name was Nicole Lovell, 13-year-old girl. She had just survived liver cancer. She had had a tracheotomy, and she had a scar on her throat from the tracheotomy. Beautiful little girl, and my heart goes out to her family. Social media sucked her in. She didn't have a lot of friends at school. She was a little awkward, maybe a little introverted, a little on the chubby side. And as parents, we all know that doesn't matter to us. It just makes our children that much more appealing and beautiful to us, because we know that sooner or later the right person will come along for them if they just hang on. But sometimes kids make some dumb mistakes, and this little girl had been drawn in by social media. She'd also been being a victim of being cyberbullying. She would post cute little pictures of herself on her Facebook page and Instagram, and all the girls and boys of her school would attack her for it. And kids just don't understand the power of their words when they go to school. You know, there's always been victims. And when I was growing up, my parents had already died. My brother was my legal guardian, and I was just taught and made to take care of the problem myself or deal with it myself. My parents weren't going to go to somebody's house. They weren't going to go to the school and talk to the school. We just had to deal with it. And usually once it was taken care of, it was over with. The person no longer bullied you anymore. Sometimes those guys continue to be bullies, but for the most part, they didn't bully you anymore. But this poor little girl befriended somebody on the internet, and he was a college student at Virginia Tech, and he enticed her out somehow, and he ended up murdering her and killing her. This guy was a star athlete. Then he had one of his friends, a female companion, help him dispose of this little girl's body. I don't get it. I don't understand how parents can't realize the importance of martial arts training for your children these days. The way our society has changed and morphed into something more than what it was when we were growing up, martial arts is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Not only that, but you have to find a quality martial arts school. You have to find one with reputable instructors, with real black belts, people who have really had some tournament experience. I've got some friends in the mainland, shout out to JoJo and all my Taekwondo black belt instructors in the mainland. Ron Perry, Master Herb Perez, Juan Moreno, all of these guys run fabulous programs, and I mean they do wonders for kids. Now you might say, hey Bob, so martial arts wouldn't have helped my little girl in this situation or my little boy. Yes, it would have. The importance of understanding which martial art can benefit your child the most is very important. Now, there's nothing wrong with jiu-jitsu and wrestling sports and judo, but I can tell you that the footwork involved in Taekwondo, the reaction drills, it quickens your reactions, it quickens your situational awareness. It makes kids faster all around. It makes them fight from a longer range distance. That alone is crucial because the kids are learning to fight with their feet predominantly, yes, because the legs are stronger than the arms, but they're fighting from a further distance away, which makes it more difficult for somebody to grab them and get their hands on them. So it's imperative that parents understand this. I have other parents that they want their kids to test just every single 2 weeks. And there's a lot of schools out there that will do that. They'll test you every 2 weeks, man. They'll give you a black belt in 4 months, 3 months. But is that really what you want? I know as a parent, that's what the parents want because they want the kids to be able to play every single sport that comes along. And I get it. I played sports, I wrestled, I played baseball, and I was active when I was growing up. But my passion was martial arts. And even when I didn't feel that burning passion, I stuck with it. And it paid off in the long run for me. So parents, you have to understand that, you know, parents will bring kids in here, they'll bring them into other schools, and they'll say, hey, I want my child to learn some discipline. You can do that, right? And martial arts instructors, of course, we say, yes, of course we can give them discipline. The truth is, no, we can't give them discipline. If they're learning that they can quit something in 2 weeks because it's no longer fun, we're not teaching them anything, and you're certainly not teaching them anything positive. They're learning to manipulate, and they're learning that they can give up whenever anything gets too difficult for them. That's not the lesson that we preach in martial arts training. We want the kids to be able to follow through and set their sights on their goal of being a black belt. And we always say, your goal is to earn your black belt. We're a black belt school, and different mottos like that. But the idea is to try to encourage them to set long-term goals because that's crucial in martial arts training. Now, back to this little girl. What could it have done for her? Nicole Lovell. I don't know. Anybody who was there, that's the only people that are going to truly know what's going to happen. But I know that it does sharpen your situational awareness. It does make children's reaction faster. It makes them respond more quickly. Perhaps it would have given her the confidence just to understand that something bad was going to happen and then run away. It happens too often to too many of our children across this country, and too many parents are blind to it. Too many parents say, that'll never happen to me. I don't know how many times over the years I've watched parents on the news saying exactly the same thing. I never thought it would happen to me. I never thought it would be my baby. And they're devastated, and their life will never be the same because of that. So, find a good martial arts program. Parents, don't make excuses. I have kids that come in once every couple of weeks, once every 3 weeks, because they just talk their parents out of bringing them. They'd rather stay at home and play video games and watch movies and hang out with mom and dad when they're really small, and mom and dad think that's a good idea. The truth is they need to learn how to socially interact with other children their own ages, which is why a lot of good martial arts schools have classes for age groups as well as belt groups. But the children need to be able to understand that they have to break contact from the parents from time to time. And parents, the ones of you who are bringing your kids once every couple of weeks because there's always something else in the way that stops you from doing it, you're not doing them any favors that way. The kids need to understand that they need to develop a regimen twice a week, 3 times a week, every day for some kids. Some of the kids that are ADHD today, attention deficit hyper disorder, other kids who are oppositionally defiant. We've had kids come into class and their parents sitting on the bleachers, and the kids openly mock the leaders and the instructors, you know, making faces at them. And the parents sitting there and smiling about it like that's cute. I can tell you in my day, when I was growing up, 6, 7 years old, if I'd have made a face at one of my father's friends, that would have been the last thing I remembered before I woke up. And today, parents laughing about it and thinking, oh, that's so cute, look at them. Think about what you're really doing and creating with the children. And think about what it's going to do to some adults. For some adults, that's a trigger. If you have somebody who's a bad person, like this jackass at Virginia Tech that recently killed this little girl, that could very well be a trigger. Say something smart to them, wise off to them, insult them, and they decide, okay, they're going to make you pay for it. So parents, get your kids in the quality martial arts program. Get them out here, get them training. Make sure that they understand that they don't have a choice. Are you going to let them drop out of high school? Of course not. If they tell you that their lifelong goal is to work on a trash truck, is that you going to be okay with that? Of course not. Your daughter comes home and tells you she wants to quit school and get pregnant at 14. You okay with that? Of course not. We want the best for our children, all of us. And to give them the best, they have to understand that nothing in life is going to come easy. Now, I spoil my kids too, and I love my kids so much. My son and my daughter just don't even know how much I love them and how much I worry about them every day. But the one thing that I'm thankful for is that they grew up right here in this gym with me every day. They were here every day, and where most parents spend an average of 45 minutes with their kids a day, other than driving them back and forth to soccer and hula and tennis and baseball, to actually sit down with your kids and interact less than 45 minutes a day. I'm very fortunate because I got to watch my children grow up here in a martial arts facility, and they didn't have a choice to quit. I'm sure a lot of times they wanted to, but as a result, both of my children are phenomenal martial artists. I'm certainly not worried about my son not being able to take care of himself. I'm not worried about my daughter being able to take care of herself. And in her case, even if somebody did hurt her, what her brother is going to do to you, much less what I'm going to do to you, better off staying in bed on that day. But parents, understand that we have to teach our kids a discipline. We have to teach them to develop their own regimen. They have to be responsible from a very young age and understand, just like cleaning their room, cleaning the yard from the dog doo-doo, taking out the trash or other chores. They're not chores, they're responsibilities. And too many parents use that keyword, chores. They're not chores, they're responsibilities. Everything that we require our children to do will pay off for them later in life. So parents, please watch your kids when they're online. Find a good quality martial arts program for your kids. I mean a good quality martial arts program. Understand the difference between a good program where your kid can really learn to crack somebody in the face if they need to, versus trying to hold them down to restrain them or submit them. All martial arts are great. Every martial art has its positives and negatives. But as far as children go, especially in the playground and in the classrooms and social media, kids can be ruthless. You guys all know that when you went through school as well. Kids can be ruthless. And if a kid puts their hands on your child needs to understand nobody has the right to do that, ever. No child, no adult, nobody has the right to touch your child unless they say so or you say so, and that's it. And put my child in a grappling program and they take somebody down and arm bar them. Okay, the bully gets up and the bully says, I'm gonna crack you the first chance I get when you're not looking. But bully starts picking on your kid, they get round kicked in the face or back kicked in the sternum and get the wind knocked out of them. That's a pretty good attention getter. Pain can be a very, very powerful teacher. Now that's not to say that there's anything wrong with grappling arts, because they're fantastic. Everything has its place. And there's times where you might utilize those skills as well. But parents, once again, please watch what your children are doing. Keep them away from the seedy characters. Teach your children initially that if they get a funny feeling about somebody, trust their instincts. They're usually right. This is Bob Smith. Blood makes you related, but loyalty makes you family. Out.